Listen, bro, I feel bad for Young Dolph's people. You want to know why I feel bad for Young Dolph's people? Because the freaking police, the DA, all of these morons had the person who did it and decided not to do it.
Mr. Govan, you haven't smiled all this week, but obviously you have a lot to smile about. Just tell me just about what you're feeling in right now.
Like I said, it's kind of hard to explain the feeling of getting your life back, you know.
Because they gonna need it.
But the money you making on this YouTube, you need to put it on your life insurance, fuck people. Your profile say hell of a podcast. That's all I get from it. Ain't gangster about your profile. Now I see you soon.
Ceddy Nash has straight up vanished, and the timing couldn't be more chilling. His disappearance came right after Hernandez Govan hurled one of the most direct threats we've ever seen, live for the world to witness. This wasn't just internet beef. This happened the same day Govan walked out of court a free man after dodging the fight of his life. Prosecutors had painted him as the so-called mastermind behind the plot against Memphis rap legend Young Dolph, a murder that shook the entire hip-hop world to its core. Beating that kind of case would make most people disappear into the shadows, but not Govan. Instead of laying low, he went straight for a YouTuber, not a rapper, not an industry heavyweight, but Ceddy Nash on a live stream that barely lasted 13 minutes. That stream got ugly fast. Govan called Nash goofy. Nash fired back telling him, "Watch who you're talking to." And then came that moment, the icy life insurance line that had everyone's heart skip a beat.
Whatever money you get, you better save that. Whatever money you get, save that, bro. Because they gonna need it.
But the money you making on this YouTube, you need to put it on your life insurance, fuck people. Leave it like that.
You better check my profile. One thing I do is I walk those shit. Huh?
Your profile say hell of a podcast. That's all I get from it. Ain't gangster about your profile. Now I see you soon.
Fans couldn't believe it. This wasn't rap lyrics. This was real life, and it sounded more like a death warning than smack talk hours later. Both men are spotted in Los Angeles, the same city where Govan had dared Nash to pull up. At first, people laughed it off as clout chasing, but the laughter is dead quiet now because Nash has gone completely dark, off the grid, no updates, no posts, nothing. And when a man once accused of putting a hit on a superstar says your time is running out and then you vanish, silence doesn't sound like coincidence, it sounds like danger. And here's the part people are whispering. Govan moving so bold after beating the case is raising questions. Was he flexing power or sending a message to anyone who dares cross him? This isn't just internet drama anymore. This is starting to feel like a real-life street thriller. To really understand why this clash between Ceddy Nash and Hernandez Govan has people shook, you've got to rewind to the case that put Govan's name in headlines in the first place. Before the live stream drama, before the threats, he was in court fighting for his very freedom.
Smiled all this week, but obviously you have a lot to smile about. Just tell me just about what you're feeling in right now.
Like I said, it's kind of hard to explain the feeling of getting your life back, you know, just from 12 people, you know, so I'm just blessed. And I'm just ready to go see my son.
What was going through your head when you were waiting for the verdict this morning?
Nervousness, you know, of course, it's natural. But I got a team around me that was very confident and supportive, so without them, it wouldn't be no me. I just want to thank again Manny, Robert, Haley, Beth, Handel, Contrell, Leanne, just everybody that played a part and proving my innocence.
Back in 2021, Memphis took a devastating loss. Young Dolph was gunned down in broad daylight at Makita's Homemade Cookies, a spot he always supported in his own neighborhood. The city froze in shock. Fans cried out for justice, and prosecutors wasted no time pointing their finger at one man, Hernandez Govan. They said he wasn't just connected, he was the alleged mastermind. According to them, two men, Justin Johnson and Cornelius Smith, pulled the triggers, but Govan was the one accused of ordering the whole hit. If that stuck, he was staring at life behind bars. No parole, no coming back. And here's where it got even messier. Govan, in one of his first interviews after being released on bond, started stirring the pot. He claimed Cornelius Smith once told him that Dolph himself had put a hit out on Yo Gotti. That statement alone poured gasoline on years of street rumors about the tension between Dolph's paper route empire and Gotti's CMG camp. Fans were left divided. Was this Govan deflecting, or was there more to the story than anybody ever admitted? Fast forward to August 2025, after weeks of testimony, witnesses, and drama in the courtroom, the jury shocked everybody. They only needed 3 hours to decide not guilty. Just like that, Govan walked out a free man.
There's no way a jury couldn't see it, and that's why it took, 2 hours to figure that out. I mean, obviously it would have probably been quicker had they not had to go through the evidence and do their job, but the fact that anybody in the press would say, oh, it was this or it was that, it was clearly flagrant, and I wish we'd be reported as this is what your justice is in Memphis. So if you're black and poor, you got a problem.
And when Govan repeated that in interviews, it came off less like defense and more like a flex.
And when he stepped outside those courthouse doors, he didn't sound like a man broken by the process. Nah, he stood tall, thanking God, thanking the jury, saying he felt born again and ready to spread positivity. But here's the twist. If you really watch his energy in that clip, it didn't come off humble. It came off triumphant, like someone who had just dodged the biggest bullet of his life. And for a lot of people, that confidence felt less like gratitude and more like a warning that Hernandez Govan wasn't planning on fading into the background anytime soon. But almost immediately after walking free, Hernandez Govan's focus took a wild turn. Instead of laying low and enjoying his second chance, he set his sights on the bloggers who had been covering his case, and sitting right at the top of that hit list was none other than Ceddy Nash. And that raises the burning question, why was Nash the very first name out of his mouth? This wasn't random at all. Govan clearly felt Nash had been disrespecting him for months. See, Ceddy Nash built his whole platform on breaking down street culture, hip-hop news, and high-profile cases tied to rappers. So when the Young Dolph trial kicked off, Nash was locked in, analyzing every update, dropping his takes, and speculating on who could really be behind Dolph's murder. He wasn't just reporting, he was narrating the trial for thousands of viewers who couldn't look away. And here's the kicker. Nash even claimed on one of his clips that he was the one who first put out the word that Dolph had a bounty on his head.
I 100% believe that one. But I knew stuff, but then it was kind of like, do I put it out? I knew that Dolph had a 6-figure bounty on his head. I was the one who broke that to the internet.
That line didn't just rattle fans, it stuck in people's minds and spread like wildfire across social media. But for Govan, that wasn't just commentary, that was dangerous. To him, Nash wasn't a journalist doing his job. He was a voice swaying public opinion, painting him guilty before a jury even had their say. Imagine beating a life sentence, but the internet still labels you a villain because someone with a mic turned your fight for freedom into clickbait. That cut deep. And instead of shrugging it off like most celebrities or public figures would, Govan made it personal. Dead personal. He came at Nash with hostility, not irritation. It wasn't some light back and forth, it was a grudge. On that live stream, the tension was thick from the second they connected. Govan called Nash goofy, accused him of chasing clout, and then dropped that infamous life insurance line that left everybody asking, was this still internet talk, or was Govan sending a real warning? And here's what makes it even more wild. Bloggers have always been part of rap culture beefs. Think about academics with the Chicago drill scene, or how platforms magnify rap feuds, but rarely does it get this direct, this heated, with life or death energy pulsing through a live stream. Nash didn't flinch. He fired right back, telling Govan, watch who you're talking to. Both men were locked in, eyes glued to the screen, neither backing down for even a second, and that's when Govan dropped the line that's now infamous, the one that had everybody clutching their seats.
We ain't got to do this. Like, I'll be in LA soon, I'll be in Atlanta soon, we can meet up and I'll kick the pies out your mother. We ain't got to do this.
First off, beat me up.
This wasn't just slick talk. That was a man flat out suggesting Nash might not make it out alive. And coming from someone prosecutors once accused of ordering a hit, yeah, nobody was laughing. Nash tried to brush it off, saying he wasn't scared, but fans could see through it. This wasn't your average back and forth internet beef. This had a deadly edge to it. The live stream barely lasted 13 minutes, but in that short time, it spiraled from blogger versus rapper drama into something that felt terrifyingly real. Within hours, clips and screenshots were everywhere. Twitter threads, IG reposts, YouTube recaps. People were dissecting every word, every expression, and every pause. And all anyone could talk about was that one chilling phrase about life insurance. But Govan wasn't finished. He doubled down, throwing gasoline on the fire, daring Nash to meet him face to face. And not just anywhere. He told him to pull up in Los Angeles. He didn't hint at it, didn't dance around it. He said it plain, on camera, daring him to test it in real life. And here's where it got insane. Just 2 days later, both men really were in LA. Nash even posted himself driving around the city, almost taunting like, I'm here, what's up?
Said my name, I really appear and pop out like the boogeyman. I do demonstrations, not skits, homie. Y'all see where, hold on. I'm in Los Angeles right now, my city. I'm in my city. What you thought?
Fans were stunned. Was this actually about to leap from live stream smoke to a real confrontation in the streets? What made it scarier is how both sides were moving. Nash was playing it bold, but Govan was fresh off beating a RICO-related trial, walking with a chip on his shoulder and nothing to lose. The possibility of a real clash didn't feel impossible anymore. It felt like it was right around the corner. People started genuinely worrying this could end bloody if they crossed paths. And just when it looked like the tension couldn't get messier, Govan went and sat down with Vlad TV, a platform already infamous for stirring up controversy. During the interview, he casually mentioned dealings with Big Jook. Yes, Yo Gotti's brother, the same Big Jook who's been a name tied to whispers in Memphis street politics for years. But then, Govan quickly tried to cover himself, claiming he never had any dealings with Yo Gotti directly. Still, the fact he even brought Jook's name into the mix only made the situation feel heavier, like the layers of this beef went deeper than fans originally thought. On the surface, Govan name-dropping Big Jook might have sounded like nothing, but for fans who've been following the Young Dolph case for years, that was huge. One of the biggest theories floating around since Dolph's murder has always been the idea that Yo Gotti's camp, directly or indirectly, had some connection to the drama. So when Govan casually threw Big Jook's name out there, it didn't feel like a slip. It felt like a breadcrumb, and the timing couldn't have been messier. Here's a man freshly cleared of allegedly ordering a hit, now bringing up someone fans already linked to Dolph's beef with Gotti's CMG empire. Some people thought he was exposing something on purpose. Others believed he was shifting the spotlight, dodging blame by hinting at bigger fish. Either way, it kept the internet buzzing nonstop. And let's not forget, he said all this the same exact week he was threatening Nash. That's why people started asking a dangerous question. Was Govan trying to silence bloggers like Nash before they could start piecing these connections together in public? Because once clips from that live stream dropped, social media went nuclear. The comments told the whole story about how fans were reading the situation. One fan typed bluntly, "When someone tells you who they are, believe them." And that became the general vibe across Twitter, IG, and YouTube comments. Nobody thought Govan was joking. He had just walked out of court beating a case tied to Dolph, and now he's talking life insurance to a YouTuber? Yeah, folks weren't laughing it off. Another viewer broke it down even scarier. He wanted to jump out his body. Hernandez was poised and calm with that killer calm energy. And they weren't wrong. If you rewatch the clip, Govan never raised his voice, never stumbled on his words. He delivered that threat smooth, with the kind of cold confidence that makes people uneasy, like a man who knows exactly what fear sounds like. Some fans even went CSI mode, dissecting his face and body language like it was evidence. One comment stuck out, "Govan's eyes tell me everything I need to know. I ain't saying Ceddy a punk, but he gonna have to stand behind everything he's saying."
You don't know what I'm doing. You don't know what I got going. I don't talk to y'all. So, let me state this emphatically clear. Ceddy Nash ain't got no Vlad TV interview. Ceddy Nash doesn't have a no jumper interview. I don't have any interview. Matter of fact, as it stands right now, I don't think I'm ever doing any interviews. I'm not jumping on no panels. I'm not jumping on people's channels. I'm not doing no collabs. I'm not doing nothing. Nothing, not a thing.
You can't laugh this off like you did when Woody was on your ass. People weren't just listening, they were studying every movement like the stream itself was Exhibit A. But then there were voices in disbelief. One popular blogger, Hood Educated, summed it up. "This dude just beat a case. If I was him, I'd be laying low," and plenty agreed. Why would Govan even risk putting this kind of spotlight back on himself after dodging a life sentence? Yet instead of chilling, he doubled down, standing firm in his words, while Nash, usually loud and unfiltered, started going noticeably quieter. The split online became crystal clear. Half the people thought Nash poked the wrong bear, and the other half thought Govan was playing the internet like a violin, using controversy as clout fuel. And here's the part nobody can deny. The tension wasn't dying down. If anything, every word, every clip, and every comment was making this feud feel more dangerous by the day. Either way, the tension wasn't just hanging in the air, it was stacking higher by the day. And then the internet noticed something even more alarming. Ceddy Nash had suddenly gone quiet. For a man who drops content daily, Nash's silence was loud. His last real video wasn't about Govan, wasn't about beef. It was him saying he'll never do interviews or collabs, not even with platforms as big as No Jumper. At first, fans brushed it off. Maybe Nash was just being stubborn, sticking to his independent lane and keeping his channel free from outside influence. But the timing? It felt way too suspicious, almost like he was shutting doors on purpose, pulling the blinds down before anything could come crashing in. Because let's be real, Nash knows exactly how YouTube works. If another platform hosted Hernandez Govan for an interview, Nash would be forced to respond. And by cutting off collabs altogether, it looked like he was trying to avoid that exact problem. Here's Nash himself explaining why he stopped doing interviews altogether. And that's when the theories started flying. Was Nash really just focused on his own lane, or was this fear? Instead of confronting Govan head on, was he quietly backing up, putting distance between himself and anyone who might put a spotlight on Govan's side of the story? Fans were quick to notice how out of character it all felt. Nash is usually loud, confident, fast with clapbacks, never the type to hide. But after Govan hit him with that chilling life insurance line, the silence didn't feel like strategy anymore. It felt like survival. People began asking the uncomfortable question: did Govan's threat actually get to him? And here's where things take a darker twist, because whispers started spreading that Nash wasn't the only one. Word on the YouTube streets is that Govan's smoke doesn't stop with him. Allegedly, other bloggers have been getting warnings too. Names haven't all surfaced, but the rumors suggest Nash is just the most visible target, the one everyone can see. But he might not be the only one looking over his shoulder right now. This is what makes it even scarier. The blogging world has always thrived on covering rappers' cases, beefs, and street politics. But if the people at the center of those stories are now clapping back directly on camera with threats, then suddenly the bloggers themselves aren't just commentators anymore. They're part of the story. And maybe even the targets. Some people online are saying it straight. Hernandez Govan doesn't want his name spoken on unless it's positive. And if you cross that line, they believe you could end up catching the same treatment Ceddy Nash did. That's the fear that's been rippling through comment sections, and it's not hard to see why. And that's where things get scary. YouTube has always been the place where bloggers and commentators could speak freely, even on the biggest names in hip-hop, even on the messiest cases. But when someone who just walked out of court after beating a murder conspiracy starts checking people directly, suddenly folks are questioning where free speech ends and real danger begins. Some fans think Nash backing away from interviews wasn't just about protecting himself, it was about making sure no other platforms accidentally dragged themselves into Govan's crosshairs. Almost like Nash was cutting ties before things got too close, making sure his silence didn't put somebody else in danger. Whether it's intimidation or paranoia, the vibe is the same. Govan doesn't just want Nash to fall back, he wants the whole YouTube scene to tread carefully. Now let's be real, there's no concrete proof that Govan is actually trying to silence the blog world, but the rumors are heavy, and the speculation isn't slowing down, and that leads to the bigger question: did Govan walk out of court feeling untouchable, like he could silence anyone who dares to keep Young Dolph's name alive? Prosecutors had once labeled him the mastermind, the man accused of pulling strings behind one of Memphis's biggest tragedies. But after just 3 hours of jury deliberation, Govan was declared not guilty and walked out a free man. And the way he's been moving ever since, it feels like he knows that verdict gave him power. Almost like he's daring the world to challenge him, because if the state of Tennessee couldn't pin him down, then what chance does a YouTuber really have? Even his lawyer, Manny Aurora, leaned into that narrative, saying being black and poor in Memphis automatically made Govan a target. And while that might sound like a defense tactic in court, outside of court, it fuels the image of Govan as a man wronged by the system, someone who now feels justified in standing on his name no matter who tries to question it. And when Govan repeated that same line in interviews, it didn't sound like a man defending himself anymore, it sounded like a flex. Almost like he was saying, see, they tried me and they still couldn't touch me. That's why fans and bloggers are connecting the dots now. The threats, the shade, the way he's been calling out Nash, and even allegedly other creators, none of it screams laying low. It screams a man moving like he's untouchable. Someone who knows his name still holds serious weight in Memphis politics and street culture. And instead of running from that, he's flipping the fear to his advantage. And don't forget, this is Memphis, a city where rap politics, street beefs, and real-life power struggles overlap in ways outsiders can barely wrap their heads around. The streets know that when someone with Govan's reputation speaks, the words aren't always just talk. Sometimes they're warnings. So, if Govan can allegedly make YouTube creators fall silent, people can't help but ask the bigger question: what else could he pull off behind the scenes? The timing is too sharp to ignore. One man just beat a murder conspiracy trial, and the other has gone completely missing from his platform. The whispers are getting louder, and the silence is only making the rumors sound more believable. Until Ceddy Nash reappears, if he ever does, the speculation won't stop, and that's the haunting part. Because more and more people are starting to wonder if Hernandez Govan's chilling threat has already been carried out. If you've been following this saga, let me know your thoughts. Was this just internet smoke, or did Nash really pay the price for speaking on the wrong name? Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more breakdowns, share this with your people, and drop a comment with what you think really happened. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.